You ever spend 6 hours in a state versus state, giving it everything, troops, speed-ups, sanity, only to get booted out of your own castle, in your underwear? Yeah, that was us. Vex came in loud, proud, and overpowered. We were outnumbered, outgunned, and stripped down to our last bandages. And when it was over, they laughed. They posed for screenshots. But here's the thing about battle reports. They don't show what happens after. They don't show what we left behind. This is not a story about glory. This is the story of what comes next, when you're bruised, bitter, and still burning. I'm Frankie, the battle bard, because a battle report shows stats, but I show the scars, like in this story.
The curse we rode out on. They took the castle, but we left them something to remember us by. The great hall reeked of sweat, blood, and burnt ego. The stone beneath our bare feet was still warm from the fires of battle. 6 hours we fought, barricaded, outnumbered, bleeding from wounds no salve could mend. We held the walls, then the courtyard, then the throne room, and still they came. Vex. They flooded in like ants through shattered gates, a sea of steel and screams. They didn't outfight us. They outnumbered us. We gave everything. And now we had nothing. We stood in rows, stripped to our undergarments, armor and pride heaped beside the victor's banners. Mockery dripped from every silk-draped corner of the room. The Vex Alliance watched from the balconies, wine in hand, laughter ringing louder than any war horn. Faride's lip was split, dried blood curling along her chin. Rye's fur was matted with soot and something darker.
They didn't win,
Flamberg muttered beside me.
they overwhelmed. That's different.
I didn't reply. I was too busy trying to remember how it felt to stand tall with this heap of humiliation on my shoulders.
Look at them,
Came a booming voice from atop the dais. Wu Jie, Vex's state president, raised a goblet like it was a royal decree. His polished armor caught the firelight like a lie made gold.
cast out of their own castle like naked rats. Shall we find them cloaks, or let the cold do the rest?
Behind us, Rye pulled a cigarette from somewhere in his waistband, lit it with a flick of thumb and sparkstone.
Let the cold try.
He muttered.
I've survived worse than chill and shame.
Baked Ghost, undeterred by defeat, was already sketching something obscene on the floor in ash using a rib bone. Probably his own. A chicken clucked softly from under his arm.
That's Moxie,
He said as I raised an eyebrow.
she's coming with me.
Flamberg crouched near the treasure chest being prepared for Wu Jie's grand looting ceremony. He cradled something in his palm, a cracked violet gem pulsing like a slow heartbeat. "Are you sure about this?" I asked under my breath. He smiled thinly.
They wanted a prize. I brought one.
Then it happened. Wu Jie, standing like a self-crowned king on the broken dais, pried open the final treasure chest, the one Flamberg had touched. Gold glimmered, steel glinted, but nestled beneath the gleam was a cracked violet gem, pulsing like it had a heartbeat of its own. He reached for it. The instant his fingers brushed the gem, the air changed. It thickened. A high, shrill whine sliced through the room. Light died in the torches. Shadows deepened unnaturally. The gem split open with a sickening crack, and a plume of smoke shot upward, twisting in midair like a serpent. It didn't smell like smoke. It smelled like rot, wet metal, and something old enough to have forgotten its own name. Then came the screams. The vapor solidified into a clawed shadow and latched onto the nearest Vex officer, dragging him upward as his armor rusted and peeled off his body in midair. He dropped to the floor like a husk, his eyes glowing violet from within. Other soldiers drew weapons, but too late. The curse had already taken root. Where the gem cracked, a rift had opened in the stone. More shapes crawled through, beasts made of smoke and fire, their eyes burning like coals buried in skulls. They moved too fast to track, too sharp to ignore, claws of ember and teeth of ash. One Vex archer released a panicked shot, only for his bow to rot in his hands. He collapsed, twitching as tendrils of shadow threaded through his veins, like ink in water. Wujij's voice cracked through the panic.
Protect me. That's an order.
But there was no army left to obey. Just cursed shapes leaping from shadow to body, turning Vex champions into howling, possessed vessels, eating their own men in the madness.
Well,
Flamberg muttered as he watched the chaos unfold.
that escalated beautifully.
Farid cackled, cracked her knuckles, and smashed a chair leg into a Vex soldier's face as he tried to flee past us.
We're leaving,
She roared. A shriek of fractured magic echoed through the tundra as the cursed gem split down its center, light bleeding out like a wound torn in reality. Something ancient slithered free. It wasn't a beast. It wasn't a spell. It was a curse made flesh. The air thickened with rot and memories not their own. One soldier began clawing at his eyes. Another dropped to his knees, whispering apologies to someone long dead. From the enemy's front lines to their rear, chaos bloomed like frostbite. Rai exhaled a long drag from his cigarette, eyes narrowed as shadows twined through the halls like wolves.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Grimbone flinched as the smoke curled through his exposed death runes. They pulsed.
We need to move. Now.
A war horn bellowed, then crumpled in mid-blast as its bearer collapsed, consumed from within by a swarm of spectral insects.
That wasn't me.
Baked Ghost yelled from behind a jagged ridge, holding up a half-lit firecracker.
But I love it.
Rai kicked the teddy bear-sized cannon into gear, his bare plush feet pounding the cold stone floor as he charged toward the others.
Less commentary, more survival.
Grimbone's tattoos lit like a map to the underworld.
Left path. There's a break in the ice wall. Move.
Behind them, the enemy commander screamed orders. Then he screamed something else. A ghostly claw burst from his mouth. The cursed army turned on itself, soldiers dragging comrades into the snow, some sobbing, some singing lullabies to invisible horrors. The battlefield was no longer a war. It was a reckoning. Baked Ghost skidded beside Rai and Grimbone as a wall of corrupted magic exploded behind them. He held out a flask.
Victory shot?
Rai didn't even look.
Tuck that thing back in your pants, Ghost. We're not dead yet.
Grimbone pulled the others behind a crumbling supply cart just as a wave of cursed fire whooshed overhead.
Eyes on the exit. 5 seconds.
Wait.
Baked Ghost tossed something over his shoulder.
Wouldn't be a proper goodbye without a kiss.
The landmine he dropped detonated a chain of cursed relics left by the enemy. The eruption flared bright blue, then imploded, swallowing half the field into a howling rift. The trio didn't look back. They didn't need to. The three of them burst through the frost line, Rai smoke trailing, Grimbone cracking ice beneath his boots, and Baked Ghost grinning like a pyromaniac toddler who just stole fireworks from a wizard. Behind them, the air glowed sickly violet. The screaming hadn't stopped. Flamberg was already waiting by the ridge, arms crossed, robes flickering in the wind. A slow smile tugged at the corner of his mouth.
So, it worked.
Grimbone didn't answer. He collapsed onto a rock, ash streaking his arms, tattoos still pulsing like heartbeat scars. Rai exhaled smoke.
Worked is one word. I'd also accept carnage.
Baked Ghost did a cartwheel and face-planted into the snow with a muffled,
Totally worth it.
Taryn stumbled into view moments later, out of breath, holding a half-broken staff and her own boot in one hand.
I wasn't even that close to it like you guys, and I still almost died.
You say that like it's new.
Rye muttered. The fire crackled, but none of us spoke. Not because we didn't want to, but because we didn't know how. We were exhausted, splintered, stripped of everything but the echo of the fight. Our boots were scorched, our pride was burned, and the castle we once called home pulsed with cursed light in the distance, like it was mocking us. Rye sat slouched, cigarette dangling between two fingers, his usual wisecracks gone silent. His cigarette smoke rose in lazy spirals. Like it, too, had given up. Baked Ghost stared into the fire like it had taken something from him. He didn't even mutter. He just drew idle spirals in the dirt with a burnt stick. His pet chicken, Moxie, tucked under one arm, gave a low, confused cluck. Taryn sat curled in a blanket someone had stolen from a Vex officer's camp cot, hands shaking slightly, eyes glassy. Her boot was still missing. No one asked where it went. Grimbone hadn't blinked in an hour, his rune-scarred arms covered in someone else's blood. His sharpening stone scraped in rhythm, but it was slow, mechanical, hollow. And me? I was trying to sketch what defeat looked like, but I kept breaking the tip of my pencil. How do you record defeat so absolute you're not sure who you are anymore? We were still alive, but we weren't standing. Then Farida stood up, and everything changed.
Look at you,
She snapped, pacing the edge of the firelight.
all of you. Sitting here like corpses waiting for the snow to finish the job.
She pointed around the circle, her voice ragged and raw but burning with conviction. Her face was bruised, her shoulder was bandaged, her voice sharp as broken steel.
We didn't lose because we were weak. We lost because we were outnumbered and under-equipped. And yeah, they stripped us down and spit us out, but they couldn't take the one thing that actually mattered.
She looked at each of us like she was sizing up her next sparring partner.
Look at you.
No one moved.
No, really, look at you.
She kicked a chunk of charred wood into the flames. Sparks flew up like angry stars.
Slouched, sulking, sitting here like war chewed you up and spit out a bunch of orphans.
She pointed her half-wrapped hand at Rye.
You. You always got something smart to say. Why so quiet now?
Rye blinked.
Didn't feel like talking.
Didn't feel like talking?
She snapped.
Rye, they kicked us out of our own castle in our underwear. You think silence is the answer to that?
She turned to Baked Ghost.
Ghost. Where's your fire, huh? You always got bombs and bad ideas. Now you're over there drawing spirals like a sad wizard in Time Out.
Baked Ghost sniffed.
They're emotionally symbolic spirals.
She whipped around to the rest of us.
We fought like hell. We lost. And yeah, it hurts. I got bones that'll never sit right again. I got pride I might not see till next spring.
She stepped closer to the fire.
But I'll tell you what I don't have. Regret. And neither should any of you.
Her voice dropped, hard and clear.
They didn't beat us. They buried us in numbers. We ran out of troops, not courage.
She jabbed a finger into the air toward the still glowing castle on the horizon.
That throne's cursed now. And you know what? So are we. Cursed to remember who we really are.
She scanned the circle. No one looked away.
We're not survivors. We're not the sad little alliance that got booted in their boxers. We are warriors. And warriors don't sit around a fire waiting for the cold to take 'em. They sharpen their damn blades, stitch up their pride, and get ready for the next swing.
She kicked a log into the flames and stood tall as sparks soared.
Our fire.
She let that word sit like a stone in the snow.
You don't kill warriors by beating them. You kill them when they stop believing they can rise again.
Silence. Then came the low, deliberate voice from the shadows.
She's right.
Flamberg stepped into the firelight, his robe singed, his expression calm, but his eyes sharp as glass.
We lit that curse like a fuse, and I watched what it did. They're not celebrating anymore. That throne they stole is a tomb now, and the curse is only just waking up.
Rye raised an eyebrow.
So, we toast marshmallows while it spreads.
Flamberg didn't flinch.
No, we strike smarter.
He stepped closer to the fire and etched a circle into the snow with the toe of his boot.
This time, we don't defend a fixed position. We cut their supply lines, we isolate their officers, we let the curse keep chewing at their numbers from the inside.
He marked several points around the circle.
We flank the fallback routes. We lure out their cleanup crew. Then we hit what's left, hard and fast.
Farida nodded, arms crossed.
Now that's a plan I can sink my fists into.
And this time,
Flamberg said, glancing at Baked Ghost.
we bring explosives.
Ghost lit a match with his teeth.
Thought you'd never ask.
Back toward the cursed castle. Inside its stone ribs, the once great hall lay in ruins, walls split by corrupted vines, frost crawling up the windows, ash floating like haunted snow. Soldiers lay collapsed where they stood, their bodies hollowed by whatever whispered through the shattered gem. In the throne's shadow, Wujajai stumbled, his crown gone, his breastplate melted into his flesh, his breaths ragged as he fled through a ruined side gate. Behind him, something growled. He didn't look back. He ran into the woods, snow swallowing his footprints, and in the hall behind him a pulse of violet light throbbed. Alive, growing, watching. Back at the fire, I opened my sketchbook, and with a steady hand, I wrote the title of the next chapter. The curse we rode out on isn't done with us yet.